Hello and welcome to another episode of my Working with Todoist series. My name is Pullein and this week I want to talk to you about two types of tasks. Now we have the simple task, the buy dog food or get my dog his medicine, or just simply complete writing this week's report. But then we have a second kind of task, a little bit more complex task and a little bit more involved, tasks that include multiple steps. Now in Todoist, because of the new features which have come about in the recent months, we can actually create a subtask. Now, what I like to call this is a kind of like floating task, a task that you just need to monitor, so it needs to come up every few days just to make sure that the steps are happening. So what I want to do is I'm going to take you through these two types of steps. I'm going to explain how to set them up and how to use them in this week's episode. Now, before we go any further, I would just like to ask, if you do get any value from this episode at all, please help me by clicking on that like button below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you want to get all the latest tips, tricks and news on using Todoist, then please subscribe to my channel. Okay, let me take you into my Todoist now and let me show you how you can use and get the most out of these two types of tasks.
Okay, so we have two simple tasks in here. So let's take this first one here. Let's just open up the main window for this. So with something like this, as you can see down here, I've added some subtasks, and that's how you can manage this. So this is kind of like a little reminder of what I want to do. But let's just imagine that this is not, this is just a regular task. Now, I've got one here, continue setting up new bank account. Now, within this particular task, what you may have is a number of tasks in order to complete this particular task itself. So what I would do is I would talk to this. So make an appointment with bank manager, and maybe ask about credit cards, and ask about online banking set up, and set up online banking. So you can add as many tasks as you want in here. So what I've got is I've got a key word here. I've got this word here, continue. Now, let's just say that none of this can be done at the same time. So for example, when I'm making the appointment with the bank manager, that's the first one. These are the questions I want to ask within that. Now you could actually create a subtask within that, but I just feel that's getting a little bit too complex. So what I prefer to do is to just keep those underneath here, because when I see this, I know there's some subtasks. Because if I cross this out now, what you'll see is I've got the drop down menu, so I know that there's tasks in there, so I can see that and think, oh right, there's some extra tasks in here. Now this task here, for example, set up online banking, it should be set up online banking, so let's just do set up. That one obviously can't be done all at the same time. So that's okay. So I make the appointment with the bank manager. That's done. Now I have these additional tasks to talk about with the bank manager when I meet them. And then I've got this task here. Now, as I'm going in here, I can actually see that I've done these tasks. And this is where Todoist really works well with the time sector system, because you don't need to have multiple projects in there. I know and understand that some tasks do need a little extra additional work, and there's several steps, but you can just keep that and contain that within one task, particularly something like this, which is a continuation. It's not going to be done in one day. So all you need to do is, okay, I've done this task today, I can reschedule it for another day. So I understand that I've got several different ways of doing this. And the second thing that I would suggest that you do is, I know a lot of people have asked me about tasks that have like multiple steps. So they may have a new client. So what I would do is something like that is set up new client, for example. Hey, I can never spell. As you know, I can never spell. And so within that one, I might have a number of tasks that need to do. So input basic details into system, send out welcome pack, email confirmation of first meeting, and complete client questionnaire. So, for example, let's just say now that I know that there's multiple tasks. I've had people say to me, I have 20 tasks with this particular thing. Now, what I would do with something like this is I would then add a project in here, and I think we've got one here, checklists. So what I would do is something like this. I would just move it into my checklist folder like that. So now we've got it in checklist. What you can then do is you can go down here and you can duplicate this task. So I duplicate the task. As you can see, it's created exactly the same with the sub-projects. I can then move that to my inbox, and now all I need to do within here is change the details. So click on there, set up new client. I can just change the name of that and set up Mr. Smith, and that's it. Now you can change obviously the wording, like input the details, but now I've got all the tasks that I need, the subtasks, in order to set this up. So this can save you time. And as I say, it works really well with the time sector system because it means that you don't have 5 separate tasks all in this week, just confusing the numbers that you've got in there. What it does is it keeps everything nice and together, and it also means, particularly if not all these things are done at the same time. So let's say input the details. Okay, I've done that. Send out welcome pack. I've done that. And there could be like 4 days before you need to send the email confirmation of first meeting. So at that point you can then just add the dates. So in 4 days, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to send that on Monday. You add the date. And that's it. So on Monday, let's go into the upcoming. You can see if we just go over to Monday. So Monday the 29th, I've got email confirmation of first meeting. So that now comes up as a single task. And all I do is click on there, and you can see from up here, I can go back to the main task. So set up Mr. Smith. So it's all nicely contained within your project. You're within, like, if you like, a subtask of a main parent task. Now, I would be very, very careful with this because I wouldn't want to create too many subtasks like this. I wouldn't certainly put this with most of my tasks because you're just adding complexity. But the only reason why I mentioned this is because several months ago when I was setting up my business bank account, there was a number of steps that I needed to set up, and then COVID-19 came into the mix and that started delaying things. And so I wanted, rather than setting up individual tasks and making it just a big confused mess, I wanted to keep everything together. And this is one way that you can do it. This is a way that you can keep everything together so that you can manage a task that's got multiple steps. So hopefully that's given you some ideas about how you can use the subtasks within Todoist. These are the little things that really do help to make Todoist just that little bit more special and helps you to manage the work that you're doing. And also, because of the way that the subtasks work and you can see what you've done, you can then obviously be able to give somebody a quick update if anyone asks you about a specific task that you're doing. So hopefully that's given you some ideas. It just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.
Well, thank you very much for watching this video. Now, I'd like to introduce you to a brand new way of managing your tasks. Now, this system is called the time sector system. It's designed to do away with your projects, to do away with your goals, or at least do away with them from your time management system, your to-do list manager, and instead focuses on when you are going to do the task. Now, the reason for this is from a research that I did for the whole of last year, figuring out why most people were really struggling with their task, getting their task done on a day-to-day basis. What I discovered was they were managing their task by project. And the biggest problem with managing tasks by project is, first of all, deciding whether a task is a project or not. 2 or more tasks becomes a project, which means that you end up with a huge project list. And once you have a huge project list, just managing that list takes up an awesome amount of time. Time you could better be spent actually doing the work, not organizing. The time sector method is designed to do away with all that processing so that the only decision you have to make is when are you going to do a task. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter how motivated, inspired, how urgent a task is. If you don't have time to do it, it is never going to get done. So I have launched a brand new course that gives you the step-by-step approach of setting up the time sector method. It's a revolutionary course. It's designed for the 21st century. For all the inputs that we get today, all the emails, the Slack messages, and everything else that comes our way, it's designed to deal with that, to manage that so you stay focused on what you have identified are your most important tasks for the day. I'd love to see you in the course. Full details of the course are in the show notes below. I'd love you to check it out. Join me in the course and let's take your productivity to a greater level than you've ever imagined. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. I just wish you all a very, very productive week.